Jaren had always been fascinated by the stars. From the cramped observation deck of the human colony ship Aurora, he watched distant planets twinkle like tiny gems in the darkness of space. Most humans saw the stars as cold, unreachable points of light, but to Jaren they were invitations, doors to adventure, challenge, and understanding. And now, finally, he was on the edge of one such adventure. The mission that brought him here was simple in theory but fraught with unseen dangers. Humanity had recently discovered a planet on the fringe of the Andromeda sector, uncharted and full of mystery. Alien signals emanating from the surface suggested an intelligent civilization, but one that humans knew almost nothing about. The United Earth Exploration Corps had sent scientists, diplomats, and engineers to observe from afar, gathering data in hopes of peaceful contact. Jaren's role, though minor, was crucial. He was a scout, a human observer who could slip where others might be noticed, gather intelligence, and report back. The station they had set up hovered just above the planet's atmosphere, blending with the clouds of gas and dust. Its structure was utilitarian, a mix of human and alien designs, but it offered a clear view of the surface. Jaren had spent days learning the alien environment, analyzing the signals, and studying the movement patterns below. Every observation he made was recorded, every anomaly noted. And it was on this morning, as the twin suns rose over the horizon, that he noticed something remarkable. Two alien figures moved with precision near a crystalline spire on the planet's surface. They were female-presenting in form, with luminous skin that shimmered faintly under the sun's light. Their eyes reflected intelligence and curiosity in a way that humans rarely saw in extraterrestrial beings. They handled strange instruments, adjusting controls and taking readings from the spire. The way they worked suggested urgency, but also caution, as if one wrong move could trigger disaster. Jaren's pulse quickened. The aliens were alone. No guards, no drones, no protective barriers. He realized that this was a rare opportunity to observe them up close, not through screens or recordings, but in their natural environment, unguarded and unknowing of his presence. Carefully, he adjusted his observation lens, focusing on their movements. His mind raced with calculations. How close could he get without being detected? What patterns could he identify? Every detail mattered. The two aliens moved in harmony, their actions almost choreographed. One adjusted the energy flux of the spire, while the other monitored readings on a floating holographic display. Their gestures were elegant but efficient, showing a combination of intellect and instinct. Jaren was captivated. Even in a species so alien, he recognized the universal drive for discovery, the same spark that had led humanity to the stars. Minutes passed, but it felt like hours. Jaren cataloged everything he saw. The aliens' expressions changed with the readings, subtle shifts that told him more than any data logs ever could. They were cautious, wary of danger. He realized that the spire they were studying was not just a simple structure, it was a source of immense power. He had read reports of similar formations that could destabilize entire planetary systems if mishandled. And here were two beings, working alone, without backup. The thought sent a thrill through him. Humans had always excelled in improvisation, in moments where intellect and courage mattered more than raw strength. Perhaps now was the moment to show it. Jaren continued to observe, making careful notes in his data pad. He studied the instruments the aliens used, the way they communicated silently through gestures, the quick decisions made under pressure. Every second revealed something new about their intelligence, their precision, their ingenuity. He marveled at how they adapted to unexpected readings, how they adjusted the energy flows with a fluid motion that spoke of years of training and natural talent. It was impressive, but it also suggested vulnerability. One miscalculation, one environmental fluctuation, and the consequences could be catastrophic. He leaned closer to the viewport, heart pounding. A sudden shift in the energy readings caused the aliens to glance at the spire with alarm. Jaren watched as they communicated rapidly, their voices producing melodic sounds that vibrated in the air. He could not understand the language, but the urgency was clear. The energy within the spire was fluctuating beyond safe limits. If he acted carefully, he realized, he might be able to help without revealing himself, at least not immediately. And in doing so, he could prove the core principle humans always held dear. Ingenuity, courage, and action could outmatch fear, even in the most alien of situations. Jaren adjusted his position, moving silently along the observation deck. He used every shadow, every corner to remain unseen. The aliens were focused entirely on their task, unaware of the human watching from above. He studied the readings on their instruments, comparing them with his own understanding of energy flows and containment protocols. Slowly, he began to form a plan. The humans' technology was rudimentary compared to this alien world, but raw intelligence and adaptability often leveled the field. He could stabilize the spire using minor adjustments from a distance. If he succeeded, it would be a demonstration of human resourcefulness. Time seemed to stretch. The alien figures were completely absorbed in their work, adjusting controls, monitoring fluctuations, and communicating silently. Jaren followed every movement, memorizing every adjustment. His fingers hovered over his console, ready to send a subtle signal that would influence the energy patterns without revealing his location. He took a deep breath, remembering every training session he had endured on Earth, every simulation where human creativity and quick thinking had turned potential failure into success. This was no simulation, the stakes were real. And yet he felt a familiar surge of determination. Humans had always thrived in the unknown. This was another test, another opportunity to prove it. A sudden spike in energy jolted Jaren into action. The readings indicated that the spire could overload in seconds. He quickly executed the sequence he had devised, sending precise pulses to counteract the fluctuations. His heart pounded as he monitored the response. Slowly, the energy readings began to stabilize. The spire's glow softened, and the alarms on the alien instruments ceased. Jaren allowed himself a small smile. The immediate danger had passed, and he had intervened without being detected. The aliens exchanged glances, their eyes scanning the spire, then the surrounding area. Jaren froze, holding his breath. For a moment he feared that his presence, or his subtle intervention, had been noticed. But they continued their work, adjusting minor details and reviewing the data with expressions that suggested cautious relief. Jaren exhaled slowly. They had no idea a human had just helped prevent a disaster. As the suns rose higher, casting warm light across the crystalline spire, Jaren realized the significance of what he had witnessed. These aliens were intelligent, cautious, and capable, but even the most skilled beings could benefit from an outside perspective. Humans had a unique ability to adapt, to think creatively under pressure, and to act decisively when circumstances demanded it. In that quiet, hidden moment, he had demonstrated that ability, and the aliens remained blissfully unaware. Hours passed, and the two alien figures continued their work. Jaren stayed in position, observing, learning, and cataloging every detail. He noted the patterns of their communication, the precision of their gestures, and the way they responded to unexpected readings. Every observation added to his understanding of their intelligence, their methods, and their potential vulnerabilities. It was knowledge that could prove invaluable to humanity, not through conquest or domination, but through respect, collaboration, and the quiet demonstration of human ingenuity. By the time the twin suns began to set, casting long shadows across the spire, Jaren knew he had enough data for a full report. He had witnessed the aliens' brilliance, intervened at a critical moment and remained undetected. He had proven in his own quiet way that humans were more than capable of navigating and even excelling in alien environments. The experience filled him with pride, not arrogance, but a deep, quiet confidence in humanity's potential. As he prepared to leave the observation deck and return to the main station, Jaren allowed himself one last glance at the aliens below. They were still absorbed in their work, their forms glowing softly in the fading light. For a brief moment, he imagined the possibilities: collaboration, mutual respect, the chance to show the galaxy that humans were more than survivors. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and innovators. The thought filled him with a sense of purpose that he had never felt so strongly before. He retreated quietly, leaving the aliens to their task and the spire to its mysterious energies. Jaren knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had taken its first step into a wider galaxy filled with wonder, danger, and opportunity. And he, a single human observer, had already made a difference. It was a small victory, but in the grand tapestry of the universe, even small victories mattered. The station hummed with life as Jaren returned to the control room, data pad in hand. He began the meticulous process of compiling his observations, documenting every detail for his superiors. He knew that his report would be invaluable, not just for understanding the aliens, but for demonstrating what humans could achieve when intelligence, courage, and ingenuity were applied to a challenge. The stars outside the viewport seemed to shine a little brighter, as if acknowledging the first quiet triumph of humanity on this alien world. And in that moment, Jaren understood something profound. The universe was vast, full of unknowns and sometimes terrifying. But humans, with their determination and creativity, were capable of navigating it. They could adapt, innovate, and rise to challenges that no other species might face. And perhaps, just perhaps, they could earn their place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as equals, partners, and problem solvers. The adventure had only just begun. Jaren spent the next few days analyzing the data he had gathered. The aliens' work with the crystalline spire fascinated him. Every measurement, every adjustment, revealed a level of precision and intelligence that was extraordinary. Yet the more he observed, the more he realized that the aliens were limited in one way humans were not. They were brilliant, but their thinking followed patterns and rituals that could be anticipated. Humanity's strength lay in improvisation, in unexpected solutions. Jaren knew that soon he might need to prove this in a very real way. Early one morning, as the station hovered quietly above the planet, Jaren noticed a change in the energy readings from the spire. They were fluctuating wildly, far beyond safe limits. The data suggested instability that could escalate into a catastrophic release of energy, potentially destroying the surrounding area. The two alien scientists were on the ground again, working frantically to stabilize it. Their gestures were precise, but there was a tension in their movements, a hesitation that spoke of fear. Jaren's pulse quickened. The fluctuations were accelerating and time was short. He considered his options carefully. He could intervene from a distance, subtly adjusting the energy flow using the station's remote instruments. Or he could remain hidden and let the aliens handle it themselves. But watching them struggle, he felt a surge of responsibility. Humans had a habit of rising to the occasion, and this was one of those moments. He decided to act. He initiated a sequence that would subtly influence the spire's energy output. His fingers moved swiftly over the console, executing calculations and adjustments in real time. The alien scientists glanced at the readings on their instruments, frowning at the unusual stabilization that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Their expressions shifted from confusion to cautious curiosity. They had no idea a human was assisting them, but they sensed that something extraordinary was happening. The energy readings began to stabilize gradually. Jaren breathed a little easier, but he knew it was not enough. The spire was still volatile, and any misstep could trigger disaster. He continued to monitor and adjust, working with precision and focus. Every decision mattered. The aliens, meanwhile, were still attempting to regain control. They spoke in their melodic language, their voices urgent yet controlled. Jaren listened carefully, trying to discern patterns in their communication. It was complex, but he could infer meaning from their tones and gestures. Suddenly, a violent surge shot through the spire. Lights flickered across the surface, and the energy reading spiked dangerously. Jaren's heart raced. The remote adjustments he had made were insufficient. He had to do more, but doing more meant exposing himself. He glanced at the viewport, seeing the alien scientists frozen in alarm. Their instincts were brilliant, but they were running out of options. With a deep breath, Jaren made his decision. He activated the station's auxiliary energy manipulators, directing a precise stream of stabilizing energy toward the spire. The stream glowed faintly as it connected with the crystalline structure, flowing in harmony with the aliens' adjustments. Slowly, the energy readings began to normalize. The spire's glow softened, and the immediate danger subsided. The aliens looked at the spire in astonishment. One of them, the taller of the two, raised a hand as if sensing the invisible force that had helped them. Her expression shifted from confusion to realization. She looked up toward the station, scanning the sky. Jaren froze, holding his breath. For a moment, it seemed she might detect him, but instead, she lowered her hand and exchanged a glance with her companion. The two spoke rapidly, their voices tinged with wonder and cautious respect. Jaren exhaled slowly. He had intervened at the critical moment, saving the station and the alien scientists from potential disaster. Yet, he had remained unseen. The feeling of accomplishment was exhilarating. Humans had a knack for turning desperate situations into opportunities, and he had just demonstrated it in a high-stakes environment. Over the next few hours, Jaren observed the aliens more closely. They were studying the spire with renewed focus, their movements careful but informed by an unseen influence. He realized they were aware, in some intuitive sense, that help had arrived. It was as if they had felt an external force, guiding their efforts without fully understanding its source. Humans had done this before, acting unseen, making subtle adjustments, and solving problems that others thought impossible. It was an approach born of creativity, adaptability, and courage. As the sun set again, Jaren reviewed his data. The aliens' understanding of the spire had deepened, but their curiosity was far from satisfied. He knew that they would continue to experiment, to probe, and to test their limits. And he understood something vital. Humans were capable of forming connections with alien civilizations not through domination or force, but through ingenuity and reliability. By quietly demonstrating value, humans could earn respect and trust, and perhaps even friendship. The following morning brought a new challenge. A sudden tremor shook the planet's surface, sending waves of energy rippling through the spire. Jaren watched as the aliens reacted immediately, their instruments flickering, their movements swift. This time, the instability was greater than before. The spire was straining under the energy fluctuations, and Jaren realized that subtle remote adjustments alone would not be enough. He needed to take a calculated risk. He activated a secondary module on the station, one that allowed a more direct interface with the spire. It was experimental and risky. If miscalculated, it could overload the system entirely. But Jaren's instincts told him it was the only way to stabilize the energy safely. He focused, running simulations in his mind, considering every possible variable. Humans had a way of thinking dynamically, of adapting mid-action, and that adaptability was his greatest asset. As he prepared to engage the interface, the taller alien glanced up at the sky again. Her eyes met the viewport for the first time, as if sensing something familiar. Jaren froze, unsure if she had noticed him directly. But instead of alarm, her expression softened into curiosity. There was intelligence in those eyes, an acknowledgement that something remarkable had occurred. Without fully understanding it, she seemed to recognize that a being outside their immediate environment had influenced the outcome. Jaren initiated the connection. Energy flowed from the station into the spire, stabilizing the most volatile fluctuations. The aliens reacted instantly, adjusting their instruments to accommodate the unexpected support. Slowly but surely, the spire's energy harmonized, reaching a safe and sustainable level. The immediate danger had passed, but the experience left a lasting impression. The aliens exchanged looks of amazement. They spoke rapidly, their voices filled with a mixture of relief, wonder, and cautious respect. Jaren observed silently, realizing that they were beginning to comprehend the possibility of a human presence, an intelligent, capable, and reliable force that could influence events in ways they had not anticipated. In the aftermath, Jaren took careful notes. He documented every adjustment, every energy fluctuation, and every reaction from the aliens. He knew that this information would be invaluable, not just for understanding the spire, but for demonstrating the unique strengths humans could bring to interstellar collaboration. His actions had been bold, but they had also reinforced a fundamental truth. Intelligence, courage, and creativity could bridge the gap between species, earning respect even in the most alien of circumstances. As days passed, the relationship between human and alien knowledge deepened, though subtly. The aliens continued their work with the spire, but they now accounted for anomalies that Jaren had influenced. He watched as they adjusted strategies, incorporating elements of unpredictability and adaptability that mirrored human thinking. It was not direct communication, but an unspoken acknowledgement. Humans could contribute in ways that even advanced alien civilizations might not anticipate. Jaren reflected on the events. Humans had always been explorers, innovators, and problem solvers. From the first voyages into space to this remote observation post, humanity had demonstrated an ability to thrive under pressure. By acting decisively when others hesitated, by thinking creatively when protocols fell short, humans had earned a reputation not just for survival, but for ingenuity. In the quiet observation of these alien scientists, he had seen the next step, mutual respect, founded on competence and courage. That night, as the station drifted silently above the planet, Jaren allowed himself a moment of quiet pride. The two alien scientists below continued their work, unaware of the full extent of his involvement. Yet their subtle adjustments, their consideration of new variables, hinted at the lessons learned. Humans had entered their world not as conquerors, but as capable partners, demonstrating that intelligence and bravery could transcend species boundaries. Jaren knew the journey was far from over. The spire still held mysteries, the aliens still had questions, and the universe was filled with challenges waiting to test humanity's abilities. But for now, he had proven something essential. Humans could rise to any occasion, adapt in the face of danger, and make a meaningful difference, even in situations that seemed beyond reach. As the twin suns rose again, casting golden light across the planet, Jaren prepared for the next observation cycle. He adjusted his instruments, recorded his findings, and considered the next steps. Humanity had begun to leave its mark, subtly but indelibly, on this alien world. And in doing so, it had reinforced a truth that had guided every explorer, every scientist, and every pioneer. The human mind, when faced with uncertainty, could achieve remarkable feats. And so, as the planet below continued to hum with the energy of the spire, Jaren remained vigilant, ready to act, and confident in one unshakable belief. Humans could adapt, survive, and thrive, even among the most advanced alien civilizations. The adventure was far from over, and the next challenge was already taking shape on the horizon. The day began quietly, almost deceptively so. Jaren had spent the night reviewing his logs, double-checking the adjustments he had made to the spire's energy output. He knew that even the smallest miscalculation could trigger another surge, and this time, the consequences could be catastrophic. The alien scientists below were already at their stations, moving with the same precision and focus as before, unaware of the full extent of his involvement. Yet Jaren could sense that something had changed in their approach. They were more deliberate, more open to unexpected variables. Somehow, they had begun to anticipate what he might do next. As he observed, the readings spiked sharply. A violent surge erupted from the spire, sending tremors across the surrounding area. Lights flickered, and the instruments on the ground began to beep urgently. Jaren's heart raced. He had faced fluctuations before, but this was far beyond anything he had encountered. The spire's energy was reaching critical levels, and if it breached the threshold, the release could devastate the entire region. The alien scientists reacted immediately. One adjusted the flux regulator, while the other stabilized the energy monitors. Their coordination was flawless, but Jaren noticed a hesitation in their gestures, a momentary pause that indicated uncertainty. They were brilliant, but they were still limited by protocol and expectation. Humans, he reminded himself, excelled precisely where rigidity faltered. Improvisation, quick thinking, and courage, these were the traits that had allowed humanity to survive and thrive in countless situations. Jaren knew he could not remain hidden this time. The surge was too strong, and subtle adjustments from the station would be insufficient. He had to act directly. He initiated the auxiliary interface, connecting his instruments more closely to the spire. Energy began to flow from the station into the crystalline structure, stabilizing the initial wave of fluctuations. The aliens paused, sensing the new influence. Their expressions shifted from alarm to wonder as they tried to understand what was happening. The surge intensified. Jaren's calculations raced in real time as he adjusted the energy streams, counteracting the spire's unstable output. Every second mattered. The aliens below moved with even greater precision, responding to the stabilizing pulses he sent. Slowly, the spire's violent fluctuations began to diminish. Its glow softened, the tremors lessened, and the instrument stabilized. For a brief moment, Jaren allowed himself to hope, but he knew the danger was not fully over. The spire's core remained unpredictable. One wrong adjustment could reverse the progress he had made. He took a deep breath, centering himself. Humans had a unique capacity for calm under pressure, for analyzing and acting simultaneously, and he relied on that ability now more than ever. Suddenly, a massive spike shot through the spire. The entire surface shimmered violently, sending arcs of energy into the surrounding air. Jaren's fingers flew across the console, making rapid calculations and adjustments. He directed a precise, harmonized energy flow into the spire, matching its rhythm and stabilizing its core. Below, the aliens moved instinctively, their instruments now responding to the human input without full comprehension. It was an unspoken collaboration across species, a demonstration of human ingenuity and courage that transcended language and culture. The surge began to subside. Jaren's pulse was rapid, but his mind remained clear. He continued to feed energy, harmonizing it with the alien adjustments. The spire's glow became steady, its tremors ceased, and the instruments indicated stability. The immediate danger was over. The taller alien scientist looked up, her eyes scanning the sky. For the first time, she saw Jaren in the observation deck. Her gaze held shock, recognition, and a spark of understanding. She realized that a human had not only intervened, but had done so with precision and intelligence equal to, or even surpassing, their own. Her companion mirrored her reaction. their expressions shifting from confusion to awe. Jaren allowed himself a small smile. Humans had always been underestimated by alien civilizations. They often assumed that human technology was primitive or that humans were predictable. But intelligence, courage, and adaptability were not measured by tools alone. They were measured by action. Today, humans had proven themselves capable of extraordinary feats. The aliens approached the spire cautiously, examining its stabilized core. Their gestures were more deliberate, their communication tinged with a new level of respect. Jaren observed silently, understanding that he had earned their trust not through words, but through competence and courage. Humans had a way of demonstrating value that transcended language: action. Over the next few hours, the alien scientists reviewed their data, integrating the subtle adjustments that Jaren had made. They experimented, recalibrated, and tested new protocols, now aware that an external intelligence, human intelligence, could provide insights they had not considered. Jaren watched, fascinated by their adaptability. Even among advanced civilizations, humans had the ability to influence outcomes through creativity and courage. As the day progressed, Jaren took careful notes. He documented every reaction, every adjustment, every subtle change in the spire's energy output. He knew that this information would be invaluable, not just for understanding the alien technology, but for demonstrating the unique strengths humans could bring to interstellar cooperation. Humans were resourceful, innovative, and courageous, traits that could earn respect even among the most advanced species. By the time the twin suns began to set, casting long shadows across the crystalline spire, Jaren realized the significance of the moment. Humanity had demonstrated its ability to intervene in critical situations, to think creatively under pressure, and to act decisively when circumstances demanded it. The aliens below, now fully aware of his presence, regarded him with a mixture of curiosity, admiration, and cautious respect. Jaren descended to a lower observation deck, preparing to make contact. The alien scientists turned toward him, their expressions attentive but not hostile. He stepped forward, hands raised in a universal gesture of peace. They responded with subtle movements of their own, signaling that they were willing to communicate. For the first time, words were exchanged. Jaren's translator worked in real time, converting the melodic alien tones into intelligible speech. The taller scientist spoke first, her voice steady but filled with curiosity. "You assisted us." We did not understand how, but the energy stabilized. "Who are you?" Jaren smiled, feeling the weight of the moment. "I am Jaren, a human scout from the United Earth Exploration Corps. I observed your work and acted to help stabilize the spire." Humans are curious, adaptable, and capable of problem-solving in unexpected situations. We wanted to ensure your safety and the safety of the planet. The aliens exchanged glances, processing the information. Their expressions softened, and the tension that had defined their actions earlier gave way to cautious relief. The taller scientist inclined her head. "Humans are not as we assumed. Your species demonstrates ingenuity, courage, and intelligence." "Perhaps we have underestimated you," Jaren nodded. "We have learned much from observing you just as you have learned from me. There is much we can share and achieve together." The second alien scientist, who had been observing quietly, stepped closer to the spire. "Your actions saved the spire and our work. You have proven yourself capable. Perhaps this is the beginning of collaboration." Jaren felt a surge of pride. Humans had always been explorers, innovators, and problem solvers. From the first voyages into space to this remote planet, humanity had shown that courage, intelligence, and adaptability could overcome even the most daunting challenges. Now they had earned the respect of an alien civilization not through force or dominance, but through skill, ingenuity, and bravery. Over the next few hours, Jaren and the aliens worked together to stabilize the spire fully. He shared human techniques for energy harmonization, improvisation under pressure, and dynamic problem-solving. The aliens responded with their own methods, blending human and alien strategies into a coordinated system. Slowly, the spire became fully stabilized, operating at peak efficiency with far less risk than before. By the time the sun set completely, casting a violet hue across the landscape, Jaren knew that humanity had made a lasting impression. The aliens had not only recognized his contribution, but they had begun to appreciate the broader capabilities of humans. It was a quiet triumph, but one that mattered in the grand tapestry of interstellar relations. As he prepared to leave the observation deck, the taller alien spoke again. Jaren, you have shown us that humans are capable of more than we imagined. Perhaps we can work together in the future. Your species has potential. Jaren smiled. That is all we ask, to learn, to contribute, and to explore together. Humanity thrives when challenged, and we hope to share that with you. The alien scientists inclined their heads in acknowledgement. It was a moment of mutual respect, a silent agreement that humans were not merely observers in the galaxy. They were participants, problem solvers, and allies. Jaren returned to the main station, logging every detail of the day's events. He knew that this report would mark a turning point, not just for his mission, but for humanity's place in the cosmos. Humans had proven that intelligence, courage, and adaptability could influence outcomes, even in alien environments where they were assumed to be inferior. As he gazed out at the planet below, the crystalline spire glowing steadily in the fading light, Jaren felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The adventure had been dangerous, unpredictable, and full of challenges, but humans had risen to the occasion. They had shown that even in the most alien of circumstances, ingenuity, courage, and determination could prevail. And in that quiet moment, as the stars began to twinkle above, Jaren understood the truth that had guided every human explorer, scientist, and pioneer. No matter how vast the universe, humans had the ability to adapt, innovate, and leave a lasting mark. The adventure was far from over, but humanity had proven itself capable. They were not merely observers, they were active participants, shaping the galaxy with intelligence, courage, and unwavering determination. The spire continued to hum softly, a symbol of cooperation, ingenuity, and the remarkable potential of human creativity. And as Jaren prepared for the next mission, he knew that this was only the beginning. Humans had entered a wider galaxy, and they were ready to rise to any challenge, solve any problem, and demonstrate, once again, that no obstacle was too great for their determination and intellect.